You're beautiful as ever, so don't even worry about that. So, all
Yeah.
right, it's queued up now. So we're gonna go in and I'm gonna introduce you first, and then get your spiel.
Okay.
Did it ask you for permission to stream?
Yeah, I just got it said got it or whatever or leave meeting, so I just
Excellent,
did.
excellent. All right, everyone. Your host, Cy Smith, coming to you on a Saturday. This is the first Saturday, y'all. Y'all made it. If you're watching it, you made it to 2024. Congratulations. So, I'm getting ready to bring someone up who I've been knowing for probably 15 years and only been in her presence 2 or 3 times. But this is someone that with social media, I'm able to follow her execution. And she could be a Capricorn the way she moves, but she's not because she is all about business and she takes care of business. She is someone that you should know. So without further ado, Pamela, let me bring you on up. How are you, Queen?
Hello, I'm good. How are you guys?
Now, do you remember how we met?
I know that it was through Diane Latiker, and I can't remember if it was a like phone introduction or email introduction. I don't think we met at Kids Off the Block in person, but I knew you were working with her organization
Yeah,
back in the day. Yes.
yeah. Now, take us
Wow.
back. Are you a Chicagoan? Where you from?
So I was born in Chicago. I grew up in the South, Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. And then I came back to Chicago roughly, I think 17 years ago.
Hmm.
And then I moved to Indiana 6 years ago because Chicago was more challenging for me. And so Indiana is more like the South. So that's
Yeah,
how I migrated out to
yeah.
Crown Point, Indiana. Yeah.
Oh, you out there with the affluent folks, huh? You know, Crown Point, Portage, they all left Gary in the '60s.
I understand that in Maryville and Hobart as well. So it was all apart and then it separated, is what I understand. So I keep
Yeah.
up with a little bit of that history because I worked in the area for some years. So yeah.
So walk us through your professional, like what do you do and how did you get there?
So currently, what I do is I work for a large trucking company. I work for one of the top tens. I don't share the exact company because people have just popped up, and I'm like, okay, that's weird. But I work for one of the top tens, and so basically, what I've been doing for the last 17 months is called operations. So basically, we help the driver from road to rail. I worked in the division that was called intermodal. So intermodal is rail to road. Well, it could be road to rail as well. So
Yeah.
basically, what happens is the customer will want to ship to their customer, and it may be across country. So it gets put on a rail, and then we have a major hub here in Chicago. So then we will pick it up at the rail and then deliver it to the customer. So an example would be if Kraft wants to send their Kraft macaroni and cheese to California, we would have our trucks take it to the rail, and then the rail would put it on their trains, and then it would go to California to.
Now, now can anyone that can afford it use that your services?
Yeah, anyone can use the services. It just depends on the what they want to ship. We ship most things, whether it be box, dry goods, our tankers do liquids. So it could be hazardous material, it could be a food product. Um, an example would be sugar water is considered a hazmat load. So
Really?
yeah, so like if they needed to send that commodity to like a factory that has baked goods and they need liquid sugar, then we could take that to the company so they could bake the cookies or whatever. Also, we have flatbeds. We do a lot of dedicated sites, so Dollar General, Family Dollar, Dollar Tree, Walmart, and other companies. Also, we help companies move, like they might have multiple distribution centers. So we help move the goods from one distribution center to the other. Maybe there is like a target and they're trying to fulfill certain things. So one distribution center might have food products, the other dry goods, the other toys. So
Right.
we can hit all of those to give them mixed commodities in one truck to take to the store.
Now, the key with that is it all rail? It got to be rail to truck, or it could be all truck.
It could be so depending on where it's going. For the companies that I work with, the larger companies, they are usually regional. They usually don't do a whole lot of over the road. That doesn't mean that they don't have it. It's just they
Mhm.
limit the miles that that truck would run, because if you stay in a region, you make more money.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say. It seemed like if you're driving coast to coast, that's more expensive, and so yeah.
Right. And
Okay.
it's not cost effective and productive. So generally that doesn't happen unless there's something that has to be moved on the road that cannot be put on the train.
Yeah.
So you have a few loads that might have to be over the road, but it's only because it can't get on the rails.
Now, so that's one aspect. But I met you with the newsletter. So talk about your business acumen, like what you do on your own.
So the other thing that I do is business startups. I've been doing that for over 20 years, and I started in 2003. Um, I have a bachelor's in business and a master's in conflict management. And so I started helping individuals do startups in the Chicago area. And my first business plan was the Beggar's Pizza on 103rd and Halsted. So I share that with people because it's still up and running. The client that I had, he is, I want to say, semi-retired. His son is actually running the Beggar's Pizza now, so that's interesting and awesome.
Because now
So,
that I think about it, Pamela, I came to that location near the Chase, and that's when I one of the times I met you in person.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So, yep.
So so
Yep.
when you look at the state of our community, the black businesses, what would you say is why haven't we seen us move forward stronger? What would you say the impediment is, the barrier there with our black entrepreneurs?
The biggest thing that I see is the lack of support of each other. So basically, um, a lot of what I get is a lot of do-it-yourselfers, and they want you to give it to them free. They don't want to pay for the services. There are a lot of larger companies who are able to give free workshops and different things and free consulting, where you have a small business owner who cannot do that. They're trying to keep their lights on. So that's what I see a lot of times. I see a lot of competition within the community, meaning that we might be doing chicken, but then we see our friend, they're doing fashion, and we'll try to put the chicken and the fashion together instead of just pushing someone towards the fashion, for that person. The thing about it is we lack support in a lot of areas. And so with our nonprofits, what I see is it's hard to develop the board and grow the board. So the nonprofits struggle. And sometimes I really think that we should just come together and do one nonprofit instead of doing 10. But everybody wants to have their own and be the boss of things. So um, it's a lot of just what I'd say connecting and unity is what we lack.
Any hope? Do you see? Are we on our way to getting that corrected? What would you say the future looks like?
So for what I see, I think that we will have successful businesses, but the number that we should have, we won't. I don't see that happening. I see a lot of people who will struggle and give up because they don't have the support. And so it takes a lot of hours to be able to do business. It takes a lot of hours. So even when you are meeting your customers during the day and say 9 to 5, 9 to 9, you still have to do marketing, you still have to do administration, you still have to do bookkeeping and tax, and that is a lot. What I see all the time, even 20 years later, someone can say that they're going into business and everyone immediately thinks they have money. In other communities, they come together and they'll support that person for a period of time. Even just say a restaurant, they're going to make sure they get to that restaurant once a week because they want to contribute to the success of that company. In
Yeah.
our communities, we may get jealous and say, I'm not going there or I'm going to go somewhere else, and there's no commitment. So that's, I see it over and over again. Other stressors that I see is a wife or a husband may start a business and the spouse doesn't understand the help that's needed, or they'll refuse to help, or they don't have the skill set to help. So it's a lot of different challenges
Now,
that
now,
happen
now,
when it comes to us in
what
business.
would you say the difference between the Hispanic and Mexican community from a business standpoint and ours?
So Latinos are very, very supportive of one another. They're going to come together. They're going to make sure it happens for the person, whatever skill set they have. They're contributing that. I've seen or experienced a group of guys. They're from, I believe it's Mexico or Puerto Rico. And so the one thing they did was they traveled here and they got a apartment and they shared the expenses and they opened a restaurant and they all work at the restaurant. So they cut their expenses several times over because everyone was committed to coming, to helping, and to live. You know, they were even living together to make sure they cut those expenses down. Now, would our community do that? Not so much. And then what I see is they also had others, like the ones, the initial four that came and lived in the apartment, they've gotten cars, moved on, and then they brought four more. And they're working in the restaurant. And so they're multiplying their resources, they're multiplying the staff, and they're multiplying or reducing the expenses so they have more profit.
So you was mentioning that you're helping young people, 18 and up, I believe. What does that entail?
So initially what happened was, this is how I got this promotion. It all works together. So initially, I was in transportation. I started in 2022. Like, I've done a lot of things with transportation before, but not to this magnitude. And so when I got to this trucking company, it's corporate. Like, a lot of times we'll think, okay, small mom and pop, but this one, we have about 20,000 drivers across the U.S. So when I started, I was in operation, so I'm taking phone calls, taking chats, talking with the driver face to face, and just resolving any issues that come up. And I realized, like, a lot of our people think that trucking is just driving a truck, but there's so much more. There's marketing, there's customer service. And when I say customer service, the customers that we pick their loads up from, sometimes we have to call them, something might be delayed on the load or something might be wrong with the load shifts. And so they have to fix it. It's the customer's responsibility. And so then I started exploring, like at my company, we're required to do a career plan, an individual development plan as well, to determine what you're going to do next. Because their goal is to keep you and to keep you satisfied and to keep you working on your career with them.
Hmm.
So I began to explore all the different positions, and I ran across some young men who are driving trucks, and they're making about $80,000. And they're in their early 20s. So I'm always motivating and encouraging
Yeah.
them, like, make sure you save that money, young man. Don't spend that check. Don't spend that check. I know you still live at home with your mom. Don't spend that check. and don't let nobody else spend it for you. And so
Mhm.
I talk about saving, I talk about investing with them early on. I talk about protection. So, like, one of the things that they have is CDL protection insurance. And so I was explaining to them, you protect yourself at all costs because you're the investment. And so if something happens in that truck or in your personal car, you can call an attorney to be able to help you with those issues. You won't let them spiral out of control.
But the company provides that already. You're saying in addition. That's what you're saying?
So insert for the vehicle itself, yes, but for personal actions, they do not, because it is the expectation that you follow DOT guidelines and FAMSA federal guidelines, and so there are some things that a driver can do that they're not covered under that truck's insurance or that company's
Right.
insurance.
Yeah.
So we
Okay.
always talk about protection, and the beauty of the company that I work for, they provide all these different resources. We get it at a discount rate. The CDL insurance, I think, is maybe $10 or $20 a month, which is a fraction, to help protect your livelihood. So
Now,
that's one of those
now
things.
the key, because what I'm hearing is going to be in July. I sent you the slide for the July convention, which is trucking. And so what I'm hearing, this is a prelude because I'm gonna need to get you again in 6 months in July. And I know my mother-in-law, she has a truck in Georgia, and it's some black people that start. We have a 24-year-old. She got her 18 wheeler. So
Mhm.
I know some people that's getting into that trucking arena, and I told them in July we have a lineup. So hopefully I get you back then to kind of go over what you're going over and give them a little bit more insight. But I wanted to pick your brain because today was supposed to be our mechanics, auto repair conversation. And so,
Mhm.
from that standpoint, what are you seeing from the automotive side and repairing? You seeing black people going in that field? What's your thoughts on that?
So with the automotive, I won't say I don't have a lot of experience, but I do actually, because I used to work at the auction before moving into this position, because I worked with several car haulers. And so I was in marketing with the auction, and it's one of the larger auction houses here in Chicago. I was in the Bolingbrook location, and then they moved it, um, combined it, consolidated it. But
Mm-hmm.
what I know to be true is there will be an increase in some of the from the automobile industry, because we are actually transporting more like automobiles with our um, intermodal side. So from Mexico to all the way to Chicago, we'll be moving cars. And so they'll be on the train and then on the truck. So truck, train, truck, to get to its destination. The other part of that is with automotive, there's so many things that you can do. I always push this, my favorite business is a mobile car wash. I used to work in Georgia at a law firm. I was temping, and it was this guy, and I was so intrigued. Like, he came in and he was washing all the attorneys' cars. Well, the attorneys have to be in court on Friday. They get to be in their office, but they don't have time to really go take care of the car and all of that. So he was coming in. There were about 8 attorneys in the office, and he was washing cars, $50 a pop. So then he says, "You want your car washed?" I said, "I'm not no attorney." I'm like, "I'm tempted." He was like, "No, give me $10." He's like, "Give me $10." So he made, $410, my little $10, and I appreciated that because I didn't have to go to the car wash. But he would go to all the attorney sites he knew, and he had a great business. It was something that he could
Yeah,
do, and I always push that because it's a great, it's a great service to offer. Now,
yeah,
who's going to turn that down when they don't have time?
yeah.
And he would detail like really well. So yeah.
So one of the keys with the auto repair, a lot of our women may be, not all, single women. And so you got to worry about these mechanics that's unscrupulous, who are alley mechanics per se, who will see something wrong and exacerbate it, who will tell you you need something done now when it could wait 6 months. And so part of the idea of this whole thing is to get our own list of mechanics who we know we can trust by zip
Mhm.
code. So in every zip code, we know the mechanics that we trust. And then those who might be less scrupulous, we can make sure we highlight that so people will know who to stay away from. And so what do you think about that? Is that a good
I
concept
think
to
it's an
have?
excellent idea. The one thing that I do know is, yep, cars always need to be serviced. Um, a list would be great. I struggle with that sometimes. Um, and it's usually when my car gets older. Like when it's new, I'm like, warranty, thank you very much, appreciate you. The other thing is actually, finding, like you said, finding people who you can trust. And so I have a personal mechanic, plus I go to the dealer still. But when some things are high or, I have
Right.
a question, I'm asking my person, like, hey,
So I want to
that's
meet that
making this little
person you got.
noise.
Let me know who that person is. We want to build that up,
Yeah,
so we
yeah, I will definitely tell you. And he's actually a Latino guy, and he's
Mhm.
a maintenance person for one of my customers, and that's how I found him.
Is he in California? I mean, in Indiana, Crown Point?
He's in Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the other part is all the mechanics. I want everyone to notice all mechanics, auto mechanics. We're asking them to commit to seventh graders financially. And so what this is allow us to do is to have seventh grade parents always on your side. Because if they know you're doing the spelling bee, you're paying for the spelling bee competition, you're paying for back to school supplies. If they know you're giving back, then you got a guaranteed audience of parents who go be pushing you because they see how you're giving back. What do you think about that?
hmm Oh, very good, very good. I like that.
Yeah, because trust is the hardest thing. We got to get it going and get established that so people can be open to reaching out so that they won't have to worry about getting scammed and if you're a female, got to worry about that guy gonna be hitting on you and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And I know for me personally, I always trade my car in before, like when the warranty's running out, because I'm like, I don't have time to
Right.
be trying to figure it out. I did have a car when I first moved to Chicago, and I wanted to keep it, because I wanted to get to no car payment. I was like working on it, and
Yep.
the timing belt broke,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a disaster. I took it 3 or 4 places. In the last place, the guy was like, "I'm sure I could fix it. I could fix it," and he didn't. And I was like, "I'm gonna take you to court because I told you. I already paid 2 people, and this third time had to be fixed." And he wound up returning the money because I couldn't do it anymore. And I told
Yeah.
him, I said, "I'm not sure. I want you to look. I want you to be absolutely certain if you can't fix it or you can't, you
Right.
don't have, you're not certain that you can fix it. Let's not fix it."
Yeah.
Oh no, I got the person, and it did not. It was worse than when I
And,
took it in. So.
and on the mechanics side, what the mechanics say, they argument is that they deal with people who don't have realistic expectations too. So they want it fixed right away. When it's something, they got to break the car down. They got to do a lot for the car, and then the loaner card, not having that loaner card, that's a part of it too. So this is where I want us to build this auto mechanic network nationally, so that we can have the loaner card system set up. We know by zip code where you at and you can trust them. And
Mhm.
then here's the other thing, Pamela. Some people use their cars for long distance, and then some people stay local with it. So if it's local, it don't have to be as trustworthy. Well, we want it trustworthy, but it's degrees of trust. But if you
Yeah.
from A to B, so you're not Uber and Lyfting, that degree of a car that we can make sure that we have that, and the mechanics know which cars are worthy and which ones are not, and we
Mhm.
in every zip code have that dimension of cars that we can tap into when your car break down and stuff like that.
Okay. That
So
sounds good. I'm trying to think of the company that had those cars where you just use the car for the day and then you turn it back in.
yep,
I
I heard of
cannot think
those.
of the name of the company but
Yeah,
I see it. But
yeah.
yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
So yeah. So what do you have? Because I just wanted to get that out there. I appreciate you letting me take up some of your time. Anything that you want to put out there? Do you? care about giving your number if people want to reach you?
So you can reach me. My number is 708-218-7707. I have limited time because I'm just rolling into the new position as fleet manager for owner operators. Yeah, so it's going to be good because they're going to be business owners. And so I'll get to incubate them for a year or more. And they don't really need a lot of incubation because they already started their business, but I'm hoping that I can share some strategies for what they want to do, with the business, grow the business, of course, and make more money. Also, I posted because the city of Chicago or the state of Illinois Department of Community Economic Opportunity, DCEO, I believe it is.
Right.
They
Deco.
have
Right.
grants out for all types of business. I post on my page, or you can go directly to the website. But they have various grants that are coming up. And then also Mayor Johnson, Brandon Johnson, has a grant that's due on the 11th, and it's Get Back to Business is the name of the grant. And then there was another grant, one of the departments in, I'm trying to think if it was Illinois or Chicago, but it's specifically for storefronts, for you to move into a storefront and run the business. So you guys check that out, do your research. But that one on the 11th is due in like 5 days, so you might have to
Now
run the midnight oil to
you
get it
also do grant
done.
writing, though, Pamela, right?
I
You done
do
it.
a small amount because it's very time consuming. The
Right.
other part of that is people have unrealistic expectations like they do with the mechanics. And the thing about it is, this is
Yep.
the tip. This is a free tip
Yep.
for anyone who is preparing to do a grant. Research and get you a checklist for grant readiness. Make sure you're grant ready. There's a lot of documents that go into preparing for a grant. Even if it's never submitted, there are certain documents you should have.
Right.
So make sure that you're grant ready.
Yep.
Don't get offended that you don't get the grant if you're not grant ready.
Yeah.
You should have that checklist and the documents that go with it first before you even apply.
Yep. And
So
there's
that's
something
very
when you
important.
said that, it also tells us about your personality too. Because if you go come with an unrealistic expectation, and you don't even have your stuff in order, there's probably some
I
other
bust
areas in
bubbles
life like
all the
that too.
time because we have to have the truth. We have to have knowledge. We have to make informed decisions. And
Yep.
so I will tell you, like, nope, you're not ready. These are the things that you need to put in place, or you have to pay for the services to put it in place. Because I see it all the time.
Yep.
Like, that's one of my biggest things is to get a nonprofit and they only have their 501c3. That is not that's not the be all, everything,
Exactly.
that you need other
Yep.
documents. And
Yep.
so
Well,
then
and
I
your
see,
personality too. Right. So you
yes,
don't even have the outgoing personality to tap into people who can help you. You want them just to pop up and appear in your world.
yeah, right, yeah, to be able to get the volunteers, that's another big thing. It is
Mhm.
not acceptable for you to go in with no board members. You're not going to be able to receive grants that way. You have to
Excellent.
have capacity, and that means having the documents. It means having people who are going to help you and partnership. So you got a good person right here that can partner with you. You can partner with him and be able to do some things to impact the community. But that's very important.
Well, I want to say this. I want to thank you, and I just want to recap so people know who you are and why you matter so much. First and foremost, this is a sister from Shot Town who been through some stuff. When I tell people from Shot Town, that means you've been through the grinder, meaning you know how you got resolve in you. So no, this is a resourceful, resolved, tested sister on the phone. And business people, they make sure their stuff is in order. So no matter what you're trying to do, and you can't take up people's time for free, keep that in mind too. But you want to tap in. She gave her number. And the key is to make sure that we as black people are circulating money. Circulate.
Hmm.
Just like blood.
It's
If you don't
very
circulate the
important.
blood, blood clot. You can die from that. So let's circulate the money. All right. I appreciate your time, Pamela. And it's on
Thank
YouTube.
you.
I'll send you the link too, so you can have it as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Happy New Year. Hope you
Yeah.
guys have a fantastic year.
Now,
Yes.
before you go, Pamela, do you know about the Black Design Company on 82nd in Princeton?
No, I don't think so. What's the name?
Bordeaux. I'm Bordeaux. See that behind me
Bordeaux.
there?
Bordeaux. That's
Yeah, I'm
French, right? The Bordeaux is French.
yep.
Bordeaux, I want to say it means burgundy, but I'm not for sure. I
Yeah.
don't quote me on that one, but I know that it's French.
Yeah, nah, yeah, this is they set up here. I'm here at the event.
Nice, beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. So and it's black owned. So I text you the address, but you can come and
Okay.
see the showroom and all that stuff. We want to
Yeah,
promote.
definitely.
All right.
Definitely.
Appreciate
All
you.
right.